the right team won. So
Yeah. I had kind of forgotten like how close that last one was with those guys. They only
yeah,
really lost in the last minute. And as a Patriots fan, I'd like to see him go down. Whatever it's worth, I'm not a big fan of Patrick Mahomes. It has nothing to do with any weird competition between teams or anything. I remember very early on thinking this guy's going to get destroyed. He runs in circles. He does a lot of these side pass things. He just seems very non-conventional and has achieved a level of success I never would have guessed for him. But yeah, they seem so invincible going into this. I've never seen a Super Bowl team, at least, play so badly, so consistently. Like one of those things where it just, at some point very early in the game, I said, he throws away the ball or almost throws away the ball on third down every single time. Like it was bizarre. Like that was
the real bizarre thing is how much pressure the Eagles were getting with not even blitzing. They only had 4 guys up front, and they were.
I don't think they ever blitzed, right? Not even
I think there was
time?
legitimately one. I think there was one blitz.
Yeah.
I mean, the D line was eating at the Mahomes buffet every single down.
Yeah, no, he went down a bunch. It was bizarre. But again, I mean, you would have enjoyed this if you were there with me. It was like he's running, he keeps running in circles. He's like running these little circles. And I was like going, whoop, 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 whoop.
There was, because, all things come back to Bengals for me. The Bengals subreddit was blowing up with, remember that time Joe Burrow got sacked 7 times by the Titans and still won?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I said that at halftime. No one's going to remember the 3 sacks, maybe it was at the time, or whatever it was, if they win this game. Like,
right.
That will not matter in the slightest.
Mm-hmm.
But the opposite of that is that happens and you lose, right? So imagine if he had thrown for 400 yards or whatever and lost the game, right? We would sort of still remember that, but there would always be someone who said, yeah, but asterisk, they lost that game. Like in a famous, it might have been the first, I don't know, Bulls playoff series against the Celtics where Michael Jordan was a player. He was a young guy, scored like 60 points, And as Larry Bird would point out at the time, yeah, but we won that game. So like, who cares? Like, and that was the problem with Michael Jordan at the time. Didn't do a lot of passing. So that changed over time. But
yeah. Well, they won. And
whoop, whoop, whoop. Just gonna say, it was like a Three Stooges skit, like.
I did enjoy listening to Brady talk about his 3 losses, and you could just feel his hatred for Eli Manning as he was saying these
I mean, it had nothing to do with Eli
spirit.
Manning, right? Like, I will say, as a, watching the Patriots over that, whatever that was, 18 years or something, they often played their worst game of the season in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles did the thing I always wanted the Patriots to do just once, just blow someone out just once. Like, you are the dominant team in the league. Could you just have a decisive Super Bowl victory once? And never happened. The best we had was the, what do you call it? The Atlanta Falcon game where they were down like 28-3 at halftime and came back and won. Like that was that half, that second half was everything had to go right for them. Everything had to go wrong for the Falcons, which was what happened yesterday, with 2 other teams. But we never had that kind of a dominant, we never and so, like Brady lost in the Patriots lost in the Super Bowl. Well, together lost in the Super Bowl 3 times by a combined, I don't remember, 7 to 9 points. Like it was like those were super close games. Like they were never, like it was pretty close. So this game was just off the charts. Like I've never seen. I can't think of anything like this. I thought going into this game, everyone probably said the same. This is going to be a good game. Like these are 2 good teams. Like. And it just, but that's what happens. This is the problem with football. It's like a one and done everything,
That's the beauty of it, though. I'd much rather be one and done than 7 games like the World Series or the NBA Finals. So
football doesn't make sense in that format. I mean, it has to. It's the nature of this game.
Oh, like yeah, the guys would be dead.
Oh my God, you can't. It's so physical. But it also means that there are teams that just, get eliminated in some random round. And it's like, they were probably the best team that year and we'll never, you don't remember anymore,
Doesn't matter.
But
that's how it works.
No, I know. I know. It's the system. I'm not calling for change. I'm just saying it is unique in that way.
No. Speaking of a dominant second half, maybe Xbox can find a dominant second half. So, based on numbers from Take-Two in their quarterly reports, they estimated there were 94 million Gen 9 consoles, not including the Switch. And we know that there's 65 million PlayStation 5s. And so, Paul, you don't have to be a math wizard here, but
Yeah, but I did do the math.
yes, we
Yeah, so it's
appreciate
like,
you opening.
yeah, no, I
Calc.exe.
take it. I broke out the calculator app. I'm assuming it's not suffering from a penny and bug problem. But yeah, it's going to be 30 million-ish.
Yeah,
Probably
somewhere
less,
around
right?
there.
Probably less. So I will say, I mean, in terms of raw numbers, that's not great, right? Like we know that, I think I know the Apex for Xbox was the 360, and that's somewhere in the 80 millions. I don't remember the exact number, right? So it's a little over a third of that number. That's not great. But there was this feeling that Sony was extending their lead throughout the Xbox One and now Series XS generations, and that I'd have to go back and look, but I feel like some estimates were even as high as 3-1. It was certainly over 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
So this is closer to 2-1 than I thought it was going to be. And I don't mean like we did it, victory. I don't mean it like that. But given all the bad news, given the constant drum of double-digit hardware revenue shortfalls quarter after quarter after quarter for so many years now, this is actually better than I imagined. And I get it's a low bar. I'm not trying to turn this into lemonade or anything. It's not great, but
Mm-hmm.
they're
more optimistic than I thought you'd be on that.
well. I mean, it's not that I don't approach things in a positive or negative manner. I just I try to approach it in some kind of a logical manner, I guess, right? So in this case, I look at this and I think I thought it was worse. So I was expecting data to in some way verify my rough understanding of how things were going. I think we all did maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was not, I was like, to the tune of like, am I doing the math right? It's not, the math isn't hard because it's 65 versus 30-ish. So it's like, you can see it's 2-1 or it was like 2.25-1, I think is how it worked out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And this is why, but again, I know people still hate this in some way. But this is why they're expanding the Xbox ecosystem.
They have to. Well,
they have to,
here's a fun
but it's
number
also, but it benefits gamers too, right? Isn't that like the collateral of this is a net positive, I think, for gamers.
So here's a theoretical, which we both know is wrong. What I'm about to say, we know is wrong. However, it paints an interesting picture for you. We know Microsoft told us there are 34 million Game Pass subscribers. You could theoretically say that every single console that they've sold is a Game Pass customer, so that when they release a game that's on Xbox only, they don't see a boost in revenue from that game release. Because in theory, now which we know that's not correct, everybody on Xbox isn't buying the game because they already have access to it.
I'm not going to pretend to be able to handle what you just said, but just because like this is where you get into, there's too many theoreticals to be able to do math,
Sure.
right? So.
Right.
I just can't, my brain just stops. Like I have a hard time with it, but there's math associated with Game Pass that we don't understand, right? But we understand it at a high level, but there's a calculus every time they bring a game to market, how much they have to, do on Game Pass versus what it would be like if they could somehow sell this at retail or digital, whatever. And Activision screwed up this math horribly, right? Before they had that company, I think it was in the some area where it kind of made sense. And then when they looked at what Activision Blizzard was doing, much bigger company from a software publisher perspective, it no longer made sense. They had too many games that were tentpole, what do you call them? Like blockbuster, AAA, whatever, franchises, Call of Duty, obviously, but others. And those making sense of that within Game Pass was hard, which is why we saw our price increases. And the end of certainly the most popular version of that subscription, which was the Xbox version of the day one perk, because that was the killer for them, I guess. So yeah, I can't pretend. We don't know the numbers to do the math, so I can't pretend to understand the math. But they're threading a needle here, trying to make it make sense.
Yep.
It's as we record this here in Mexico, it's almost 9 o'clock in the morning. This is as strong as my brain's going to be today. And I am literally tripping over myself trying to understand what you're talking. It's like the math of this is so, it's like, I can't, this is where I hit my limit of just rational thought or whatever. So I'm trying, but
maybe you can try tomorrow.
One and done.